Hello and welcome to North Country Matters. My name is Donna Seymour. I'm a member of the St. Lawrence County branch of the American Association of University Women, one of the civic partners for this show. Today we're hosting a conversation with Pat McKeown about the St. Lawrence Leadership Institute. Joining us is Bess, Kirnie, an educator and a retired superintendent of schools. Well, Pat, thank you so much for joining us today. It's wonderful to have you here.
Thank you, Donna.
You're the president of the board of the St. Lawrence Leadership Institute, and the Leadership Institute is an apolitical, which is always nice to say, not-for-profit organization based in Canton, and your mission is to foster the development of emerging and existing leaders for advancement of St. Lawrence County and its communities. So let's chat a little bit about what the Institute does and its history. Bess, you want to get us started?
I would love to welcome Pat. It's
Thank you,
delightful
Bess.
having
Good to see you again.
Tell me more about how it started and how long it's been going on and why. Why a Leadership Institute?
Fine, and I'm going to jump right off on what Donna said. It sounds awfully lofty, but the whole purpose of the Leadership Institute is to teach people how to be leaders. They come to their jobs and they come to their political lives, or they come to their professional work, they come to their families, they come to their civic volunteer work, hoping that they're going to make a difference and they're going to make some positive changes, but they really don't know how. And it's not their fault. That's not a curriculum in any school. And they want to be better. They want to bring people along. They want to have success. And we teach them how to do that. And quite honestly, we don't want the community of St. Lawrence County to fail for lack of leadership. So we help leaders train to be leaders.
You know, actually, that's a very good point, Pat, because it's something that I'm very aware of. I know when my children were in school, the opportunities for leadership in a public school setting are very, very few. Outside of athletics, it's really hard to gain much experience. And then you go off to college, and again, that's a few people have that opportunity, but it's not something that's taught. So it is nice to see that as a community, St. Lawrence County recognized that this was something that they needed to spend and invest time and some expertise in. So how long have you been involved?
The Leadership Institute began about in 1993 with a group of volunteers from Potsdam College who got together for the same reason. They just saw a real lack of leadership in their institution and in the surrounding areas, the civic organizations, the Cub Scouts, the church ladies, it was not focused on college, it wasn't focused on the community, but all of it. And it began in '93. I have been involved in this thing ever since 2000. And it is my favorite of all time community volunteer efforts because there is tangible results. We have seen over the years individuals come into the Leadership Institute in September not knowing anybody, not knowing anything about themselves, really. We take that onion where it is, as it is, try to peel back the layers of that individual through conversation, networking, skills development, civic knowledge. Few people know where they are. They may be lifelong residents of St. Lawrence County, but they have no clue. They have no clue how the schools function, how the courts function, how the government functions. If they wanted to run for office, they would have no clue how to go about that.
Well, speaking as one of your former onions, I have to tell you that I was very new to the North Country when I came to the Leadership Institute, and it made an enormous difference.
Oh, good.
It was...
You're one of our stellar pupils.
Oh, thank you so much, Pat. But I have to tell you, it wasn't just learning about the North Country because I was an outsider. It was learning the important issues, gaining a cohort of people that I would not otherwise have met. And that was a real game changer. It enabled me to do things I never thought I would be able to do and gave me a set of friends that I have to this day.
That's wonderful.
So,
that is wonderful. Not everyone is a superintendent of schools in the Leadership Institute. We have individuals who came there specifically to learn how to be a better Cub Scout leader. And that's not a superintendent.
No, not at all. But the same skills are translatable to so many different aspects of your life. In fact, as you were describing, trying to learn how things work, that's a little bit of what we do here with North Country Matters, is try to dig a little bit deeper into an issue or into an activity and give people a sense of how it actually works. One of the things that you just talked about and Bess talked about was looking at issues. And I'm sure over the course of the last few years, some of the issues that the Institute has looked at have changed as conditions on the ground in the county have changed. Could you speak about that a little bit?
Sure, I'd be glad to. Actually, the issues portion of the Leadership Institute's 3-hour-a-month program, the issues section is the easiest section, because most of the information is factual. You can bring in outside speakers who are experts in their field. If you want to know how the criminal justice system functions, you bring in a panel of DAs and troopers and sheriffs, and we spend time going to the jail so people can see how a jail is. Many have never seen how it is to be inside there. Others, unfortunately, have seen it a lot. So ours has a responsibility of bringing people to the situation. It has changed over the years. In fact, we're working on the new curriculum now. Bess will remember how the curriculums are. You think you have all the programs in place for the year. And as things change in the county and change in this world, we tweak the curriculums always and move things up front and center or eliminate other things. We used to spend a whole session on government. Not this year. We're spending a whole section on listening and speaking. We've learned, for instance, that over the years that people have a strong desire to learn how to public speak. They can't do it. We've given them little slices of it. It's not enough, ever enough. People still throw up if they have to give a speech in public, no matter how much training. And it's repetition, repetition, repetition. So this year we're going to try to concoct some way to painlessly coach people into doing this over and over, and they'll hate it, but they want it. They need it. Any leader has got to stand up in front of a group and speak, whether it's a small group of 3 people or 300 people. They've got to be comfortable in front of a microphone. They've got to be able to look into the cameras and not flinch. They've got to be able to look at their cohorts at a table and not scream, and their knees have got to not knock. So all of those things go toward helping them with that leadership skill. You asked me, I think I'm always one who digresses, but you asked about the curriculum and has it changed, has it evolved to meet the changing times? Most certainly it does. And it also changes to meet the demand of the students. Speaking is just one of those examples. People want more of it even though they don't.
Right. So you actually look to your class participants to help drive your program then.
Right.
Yep.
And another thing that they always ask for is we want more networking. Do you remember that?
Oh, it was a theme. It was a mantra.
A theme. I mean, networking. So finally this year, we looked at that. And I said to the board who's revising the curriculum, what does that mean, networking? Oh, that's an easy... I said, is it? What do you mean when you talk about networking? What do you mean? Are you talking about networking on the job? Networking with your family? Networking with the grocery clerk? I mean, what are you talking about here? And for what purpose? Networking to get ahead in your profession, to resolve issues in the family, to have a better loaf of bread? I mean, what is the point of networking, and why would you spend time on it? And how do you do it? To satisfaction of yourself and the other party, because it's usually a transaction between 2 parties, networking, ultimately, then spreading out to the larger. But people don't know how. I don't even know what they mean by it.
You know, actually, that kind of brings us to, you talk about the area of networking, but one of the ways that you network is by the people that you meet and participate with. So how do you at the Institute look to get a class of people together to do it? What kind of diversity are you looking for? What is it you're looking for in a participant in a class when you're trying to put together one for a year's program?
First and foremost, we're looking for some individual that wants to be there. Second of all, we're looking for an individual who may not want to be there, but his or her employer wants him there. And it's important to remember that, because there are businesses who have up-and-coming individuals, and they're, as the organization that they belong to does succession planning after the moment, looking at the future, the boss may say, you know, I love how you are, but you're really raw in certain areas. I'm going to provide you with some training. The best we have is our own St. Lawrence Leadership Institute. It's a not-for-profit. If it's a 501c3, it's not sanctioned by any government. It's not paid for by any government. And I'm going to send you to that 9 or 10-month course so you can learn to interact with others, and you can see firsthand what your flaws are and what your strengths are, so that you're a more rounded person. I mean, inside. I think you would agree that we're really looking at people from the inside out.
Yes.
And that's uncomfortable for many. But that's harder than finding out, for instance, from the county administrator how government is run.
Which is a very straightforward
Yes.
kind of answer,
And,
right?
and the
yeah.
class can sit as an audience
Right.
and take it in. Then they can network later with each other on what they heard. But the harder one is looking at themselves always from the inside out.
It's true. It is a journey of self-discovery, and it's not always a smooth ride, but as you said with the public speaking, but it does bond the class. I'll tell you, all the chorus of knocking knees.
It does.
Yeah, yeah.
Others have a lot of facility with it,
And-
and they aren't bothered by it.
Talk to me about the involvement of university students. Do you
I
have
reach
many-
out to universities, just reach out to them. We have university people on our board, people who work at the universities. I ask each board member to come up with two suggested class members. I run the Chamber of Commerce, the County Chamber of Commerce, located in Canton. This past year I started a CEO organization, and we meet once a month for breakfast. I've asked the CEOs, it's a perfect vehicle, to recommend one or two people, and gave them an application, which is available on our website, and ask them to send one or two people, because it's those corporations that are strengthened by what we do. This is just not a university thing.
Yeah.
It is a full-scale approach to a cross-section of St. Lawrence County.
Do you get employers who repeat business, who say, I have a new employee, I want them to go through it? This has happened though
Yes.
over time.
Yes.
Certain employers are very supportive of your program.
They love it,
Yeah.
and they send 2 a year. That's $1,000 for them.
Yeah.
They may have a training budget. I don't ever see their budgets, but we've kept the price tag the same. It's about $550 a year, and with that, the students get a book, they get great knowledge, and they get a meal.
A good meal.
Which is, of course, another way to network and to
Yes.
build that camaraderie. What is the time commitment for a class member in the course of a year? What kind of time would someone have to prepare to devote to this process?
Well, I'll let Bess answer that. What did you devote?
There is a time commitment outside of class. Now, when I was involved, I believe we had group projects we were working on. That's no longer a part of the Leadership Institute curriculum. But there's a book that is very meaty, that
Meeting. Right.
everyone gets a lot out of it. You have to commit yourself to reading it and then participating in the discussions, but it's worth it. And I hang on to it. I've loaned it out. Given the changing curriculum over the years, I personally feel if I were to jump back in as a student, I would be learning more.
I think that's right.
Yeah, it is evolving over time, and you never know enough about leadership skills. So I don't know if you want repeat business, but if any,
Oh, we would welcome you. At a discount.
but I'm serious that it's not a static curriculum, that it's a very responsive curriculum, and one that, looking at what the new board is putting together, is very exciting. I love the directions it's going in.
Thanks for working very hard at it. It's a whole new board this year. You were the only carryover, and I asked you if you'd please participate. No, that's not true. There are a couple of old board members that I needed for continuity, but there had been a lapse of a couple of years. And it's an organization that I absolutely love. I just refuse to let it die, and sent emails out, will you join with me and let's revving it up and get a class for 2014, 2015. And so far it's working. We're working on the curriculum, the website. May I just tell your listeners and viewers that the website is now connected to the Chamber's website because the Chamber took it over. It's no longer a standalone. The Chamber has got a 501c3 also, so this 501c3 fits into the other 501c3. The lawyers say it's okay, so we'll proceed on it. But if you go to northcountryguide.com, that's the St. Lawrence County Chamber website. You can get lots of information about traveling, visiting, eating, and all that. But right on the home page is a link to the Leadership Institute.
And that's good visibility as well,
Yeah.
because anybody who wants to learn something about St. Lawrence County, that would be one of your go-to places to start with.
That's
So-
right. That's
so that
by the
makes a lot
time
of
this
sense.
program airs, we will have been working on revamping it and updating it, and making sure. I mean, we have a list of alumni, that still are there since 2011, and there's over 400 alumni. It's not a burgeoning population, but that's a lot of people in the county that have gone through a program. And if you look at that list on the website, you'll see political leaders, you'll see mayors, supervisors, legislators, you'll see business owners, you'll see ministers, you'll see civic leaders, you'll see volunteers of all sorts. We've had people who signed up for it because they wanted to be a better volunteer at their Little League, their kids' Little League tournaments. I mean, they're always getting into fights with other mothers. So could we come and learn some skills? Maybe it would help us not be an embarrassment to our kids.
Yes.
So, hey, we welcome all comers.
So you have children who are actually holding lemonade sales to send their mother to the
Yes,
institute.
yes, we could. Which brings me to the age of these people. Our average age is 43 in the Institute. So these are not college kids. They're not still green and wet behind the ears. These are people who have gone out in their lives and realized that in order to accomplish what they really want to accomplish, they need some help. They need to change things. They need to spruce up their skills and hone their resources so that they're sharp. Are they going to learn everything? No. But, it's a start.
Now, part of the learning is actually where you meet. Tell me a little bit about where the class will meet and some of the venues they might visit.
The first class will be held at one of the restaurants in Potsdam. We give them a great meal that first time. They think it's going to be every time. Well, it isn't. It was good. It was a great kickoff. So they come and they eat a good meal, and we have a little play acting, and we do a little ice breaking, and we do a little self-analysis. This year we're going to do colors rather than other years we've done other things. But it's designed for getting to know one another. So it'll be held at a restaurant. The next time it'll be held at the county jail because we're going to do criminal justice issues. And the sheriff and his team will prepare a nice little supper, and that will be fine. But that's where it will be. Then we might just pull it back to a classroom rather than always have a tour at some place. Eventually, over the course of the year, we will visit a dairy farm, and the class will wear plastic booties as they go in and talk to the cows and the helpers. And the owner of the dairy farm will explain why everything has gone computerized and why everything is up to date and modern. And the ladies don't say anything. They just sit and chew their hay, and they watch us as we come in and out. But it's charming because agriculture is an important industry here. Many of our people have never actually seen it. And here it is in the flesh.
I was on the phone call the other night with Bill Owens, and he was mentioning that we have 2 mechanized dairies now in the congressional district. So that would certainly be very different than the dairy experience that most of us may have encountered over the years, for sure.
One of the local dairymen in Canton has offered over and over to show his operation. That's John Greenwood out on Route 310. And it is an immense farm and highly mechanized. I mean, it is like technology, making milk out of technology, and it's fascinating. Did you not think?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
But there are others, but that's the kind of thing we try to alternate between classroom experience, straight chairs and all, and then taking them out where it happens, so they can see some things. We've often taken them to Sunfeather Soaps up in Parishville, so they can see how soap is made. And I think we'll take them to Alcoa this year, because I think it's important that they see how aluminum is made in the county. It's been an important industry here for, well, since 1902.
That's right.
And it's still making aluminum. We've all seen the challenges facing that industry, and I think the class would appreciate a first-hand look.
Excellent.
There's 10 classes in the course of a year.
Including graduation.
And that runs from when to when in your county?
September to May.
Okay. So you do get the summers off?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. And we need the summers, because then the board will regroup and say, well, how did we do? How did we do? How do you think we did? What needs changing? Do we need more tours? People love tours. But, tours is not the whole thing. I always think of it as a diversion, like taking your kids to the zoo. I mean, it's nice to take your kids to the zoo, but they have to have some knowledge of the polar bear before they go.
Right.
And that's what we're trying to do, the whole ball of wax, so that people feel connected with one another, that they feel valued by each other, and therefore valued by their employers and by the community. I love all of our alumni. I have people, I'm at a certain age where when I run into people, I don't often remember their names, but I remember their faces. And they'll say, hi, how are you, Pat? I'll say, tell me your name. And they say, oh, yes, it's Margie. I said, that's Margie, and I think Margie, class of 2006. I mean, it comes back then. But that's
That must
helpful.
be a little bit like your experience with doing graduations at high schools in terms of remembering when people graduated, maybe, rather than
Exactly.
every little bit about each individual. Oh, yes, you were part of that class.
Yes.
I think so.
Yes.
That's right.
I think so. So are you going to participate?
I don't know, it sounds very, very intriguing, that's for sure. So that actually brings us to a question about, now you said it's about $550
Yes.
tuition for the year, which is sometimes paid by an employer, sometimes perhaps the individual themselves, if they want to do this, if they can't get their kids to have the lemonade stand. Are there scholarships available to help fund this?
There absolutely are. Every once in a while, we've had a scholarship fund drive with all the alumni, and they send their checks in for $10, $15, $25, $50, and we've accumulated that. We've gotten a couple of grants, one from DANK, the Development Authority of the North Country out of Watertown, provided us with some handsome money. Sweetgrass Foundation provided us with some good funds, and all of those are earmarked for scholarships. And students apply, and they tell us all the reasons why. We don't ask for bank accounts or W-2s or anything like that, but we want to know why it is that they're asking for the money. What they will get out of it if we provide them with a scholarship, full or partial. And then there's a scholarship committee of 2 or 3 volunteers from the board. They look through the applications and say, okay, let's give this person half, because it's not a dire need, but they would like some help. That's fine, and they can pay for it over the year, $10 a month, $15 a month. I mean, whatever is convenient. The point is, we want them in the classes. And because they want to be in the classes, we think we should be flexible and provide that opportunity for them.
Well, and again, it's a way to ensure the diversity of economic opportunity as well as the other kinds of diversity that you're looking for. If someone is interested, how do they apply, and how many people do you have in a normal class, and is there still room in the class that you're building?
We have not put out the word yet for the current class. We look for a maximum of 25. 15 makes a good class. 20 makes a better class. 25 gets a little unwieldy, particularly if you have intense conversations. Less than that, we really don't break even with it, because there's still the book to buy, there's still the rent to pay on space, there are still lunches to purchase. So we try not to get any lower than 15. 12, we've gone as low as 12 in some years, and we've gone as high as 30 in some years. So 25 is an optimal number. Again, they can go on the website, www.northcountryguide.com, and click on the St. Lawrence Leadership Institute button. They can print off an application and send it in, and the application looks like this, and you can just fill it out and tell us all your secrets, like what do you want to get out of this course, who recommended it, Well, who do you hope to be when it's all over? Things like that. But we'd like to know more about you, and what income level are you, so we can see whether you need some help. What's your educational level? And it's not a judgment call. It's simply helping us know more about you, so that you can fit into the class in the best way that you can.
And to build on that, knowing more about the people who apply, part of the value in the class is each individual getting to know themselves a lot better. It is a journey. Would I be tipping your hand to ask you, what is one of the real challenging questions that you put to your Leadership Institute? I'm getting the look. Okay, you don't have to. But
What was the challenging question that you got when you were in the class? What really made you think, Bess?
Well, it wasn't like at an initial meeting.
no.
You were in down the rabbit hole and comfortable, and then they started to do that. Yes.
We have a book, and Ms. Bess will explain. We have a book, and it's a jumping off point for discussion. And I like to lead that discussion because I'm nosy by nature, and I like to know about people. And I know about people superficially in the class. They tell us about their kids and the jobs they've had, and you're having trouble with your job. Well, no, not really. Everything is fine. And then I said, well, let's talk about you. Your values and your value systems. Go ahead, Bess.
I think she knocked everyone out of their seats when, after a long pause, she said, you need to be able to answer the question, what would I die for? And don't give it the easy one, the easy answer. Every woman is going to say,
My kids.
Exactly.
My kids,
Yeah.
absolutely. Or my grandkids.
Exactly right. And so now, superficially, that sounds like a very strange sort of question, but once you start probing, it leads you to your deeper values. And it's one that every so often I revisit, thanks to you.
Isn't that a hoot? Really? We discussed it yesterday, even,
Yeah.
at the board meeting. That very question. Half of them wanted me to scrap it.
But
The other half demanded we keep it.
It leads to so much.
Right.
So it is a journey of exploration of the county, leadership skills, and above all, self-examination. And I've taken the skills with me.
Good.
Years and years later.
Good.
So
So this is really the lens that you went forward from when you had these tools and you'd gone through this exploration. It's really transformed how you approached not only your work life, but probably your community and your civic life as well.
it gave a context.
Right.
A context for the leadership. And for a newbie to the North Country, it was something I desperately needed, and it was a great jump start to not only participating, but really caring about what happens. And I think maybe I'm sitting at this table today in part because I've internalized that responsibility.
Somebody described that whole self-analysis as a weird little group therapy session. Is that how you would describe it?
Not personally feeling weird? No.
No.
No, not at all. I think if you take it seriously, even that color exercise that you'll embark on in the first class is fascinating. I've tried that with my board, and it was an eye-opener. They even suggested having colored nameplates so that we could remember that's how this person operates.
That's
and-
right. That's
and
right. You don't want to make him mad because green will just fly right off.
I went through that exercise quite a number of years ago with AAUW when we had a large group of people and we were trying to figure out our styles so that we would be matching up the right people in the room when we wanted to get a project done. So I know that's very effective. It's very again, it's a very interesting process to go through as well. Well, we've come to the end of our time together. I know. I'm sorry. It always flies by. But this has been fascinating. You will be putting out applications then pretty quickly for the next class, from
Yes.
the sounds of things, as
Yes.
you, now that the website is up and that you're
Website is up. We're updating it every day.
right, and upgrading the application process so that people will be able to do that. And you expect the next class will start in September. So
September.
when do you make the final selections?
The cutoff will be August 1st.
Okay.
We'll start accepting applications about the 1st of June, so we have some time to look and see what people need and want. I will just say this in conclusion: people should not be scared to apply. There's no judgment here. This is not an off-putting kind of thing, and I think that's fair to say. It's not judgmental, and we just take you who you are, where you are, and ask you where you want to go. And maybe we can help you get there, and maybe it's just the first step in a process. But it's wonderful.
Well, thank you, Pat, very much for coming in today. Thank you, Bess, for your insight as a class member
My
and
pleasure.
as a board member. And I'm sorry to say that our time is up. Thank you to everyone who's watched this show. These conversations are a production of North Country Matters, produced here in the studios of WCKN on the campus of Clarkson University. This show is a civic collaboration between the St. Lawrence County branch of the American Association of University Women, the St. Lawrence County League of Women Voters, and the Communications and Media Department here at Clarkson. Until next time, please remember, our North Country matters. Thank you.